Well, we have some very interesting breaking news out of the Six Flags Entertainment Company, and that is their CEO, Richard Zimmerman, is officially on his way out at the end of the year as CEO. I'm going to break down what this means for the parks. Should we be even more worried now? Because I think we probably should. And give you guys my thoughts on how the company can rebound from this and make this into a positive, so that way 2026 is a more successful year for all of the wonderful Six Flags parks out there. This is Theme Park Brandon. Hope you're having a great day. Now let's get into this. Now this news, again, is pretty shocking overall because I don't think anyone really saw this coming. And if you don't know, Richard Zimmerman served as the CEO of the former Cedar Fair Legacy Parks since 2018. Now, the merger is going to create a lot of issues. Obviously, whenever you're merging, I think Cedar Fair had 11 parks, Six Flags had 15 dry parks, dry park wise. You merge those together, a lot of bad things is probably going to happen. And honestly, I'm not that impressed. I've been following the industry since I was a little kid. I worked in 4 different theme parks over a 9-year period of time. I live and breathe theme park and roller coaster stuff, and I'm not overly impressed with how this has gone as far as the communication in the merger, the lack of consistency of the parks. Some parks seem like they're better than others. The new MVP pass, the price points of it, I feel like, on one hand you want to clean the parks up and add chaperone policies, which is great, and it seems to be working overall pretty well, but then you want to make these MVP passes for dirt cheap, which brings in more people, which means you have more chances of fights, more chances of graffiti and people messing with the parks. And it's like Roller Coaster Tycoon when you have all the broken benches on your little pathway. I feel like that's what's going to start happening more, and it's definitely unfortunate. But the big question is, who's going to replace Zimmerman? I mean, here's a few options that I like. Let me know your thoughts on this. But what about El Toro Ryan or Airtime Thrills, or maybe Jeffrey Seifert at Fiesta Texas? Jeffrey's passion's awesome. I would love to see his vision for a company as a whole, but I always love seeing him in the parks too. So I don't know. I don't know if he'd want to do something like that, but it's a big hole to fill, and there's a lot of stress that comes with this type of thing. So hopefully they'll find someone that's going to love the parks and want to get everything going in the same direction for the future. Now, do we like Zimmerman? There's a lot of good things he's done, a lot of things I don't agree with as well. Maybe this means we'll start seeing more RMC coasters and coasters from Intamin. Maybe so, maybe not. I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think he's good for the company and what he's done in the past? Will you miss him? In my opinion, it feels like Six Flags is taking over Cedar Fair literally. This is all the old, it seems like most of the old Cedar Fair, big shots who are calling the shots for the company aren't doing that anymore. And it's almost like literally Six Flags, which not necessarily is a bad thing. I just hope the quality of the Cedar Fair parks, the legacy ones, do not decrease. And while I want the Six Flags parks, the quality to increase. But how worried really should be? This day and age with social media, YouTube content creators, and all these other forms of media and communication, Six Flags really isn't doing themselves any good, in my opinion, on how they've been very lackluster when it comes to the communication. I still feel like the way they handled Kingda Ka closure, really made people upset, and a lot of other, canceling Winterfest at King's Dominion, as well as the holiday events at Over Georgia Great Adventure. There's a lot of negative, and the only real positive that we've seen is the $99 pass, which is I think $60 at Over Georgia. It's just too cheap. It's ridiculous. we're not going to see that many new ride announcements this year, I don't think. And that's unfortunate. I wish that was not the case. But I am worried, honestly. I think there's obviously still hope. But this merger, it seems like the last few months, it just has gone downhill drastically. Ever since the park started opening for the season. And attendance isn't really there, which there's a lot of factors in that. Personally, the park should be busier, obviously. It's a great product overall. But my thoughts are the merger issues, again, the lack of communication, no one seems like parks aren't consistent, unfortunately. And I think both companies, obviously when you merge, there's a lot of stubbornness going on. Cedar Fair doesn't want to do things the Six Flags way and vice versa. And I think everyone needs to, put their egos aside and say, what's best for the parks? What's best for the company? And most importantly, what's best for the guest? Now, in my opinion, what needs to happen is, obviously, again, I said a few times, better communication, every park being consistent, but most importantly, I think every park, I might get some hate for this, but I think every park should be branded the same way. Meaning that you remove the Six Flags name in most parks. What I mean by that is, like, for example, instead of Six Flags Magic Mountain, it's Magic Mountain, a Six Flags theme park. Great Adventure, a Six Flags theme park. What I would love, Six Flags New England to be renamed to Riverside, which is the former name, Riverside, a Six Flags theme park. Carowinds, a Six Flags theme park. Cedar Point, Kings Island, a Six Flags theme park. I just think that would just really help the merger out. People, the average GP might not know Six Flags Over Georgia and Carowinds are the same company now. I think there needs to be consistency there. And they also need to do a better job at cross-promoting parks now. There should be signs at Over Georgia, Carowinds, Kings Dominion. Hey, 5 hours south, head to Carowinds. You can ride Fury and head up to Great Adventure to ride Kingda Ka. Oh, wait a minute, never mind. But El Toro. There's a lot of different cool cross promotions that they could be doing, and I just wish that they would be doing more of that. And obviously, taking the quality to the next level. People want to go to theme parks. That's a fact. People want to go and get entertained. That's a fact. People love roller coasters. That's a fact. The quality has to be there, and I'm really interested and curious as to see how this plays out over the next year. Again, new attractions have paved the way to make sure parks are really getting more popular and stuff like that, and give a reason for people to come back consistently. So, will we see new rides and attractions? Magic Mountain's coaster, nothing from that site. Great Adventures is delayed. Mexico announced the Family Boomerang coaster. Valleyfair is getting a new water park addition, or a new name for their water park, and a pretty large capital for them, which is great for their, I think, 50th anniversary, whatever it is. There's a lot of parks out there that need rides, need attractions. I'm very curious to see if we'll see any Six Flags and Cedar Fair, all parks, add any of the flat rides from America in 2026. Because that Discovery, the Giga Discovery, Harley Quinn would look great at Carowinds, just saying. With that being said, those are my thoughts regarding this breaking news. Goodbye, Zimmerman. Peace out. Keep thinking positive, my friend. What are your thoughts regarding this? And if you want to know what my top 25 coasters are, be sure to watch the video at the bottom of your screen. With that being said, let me know your thoughts. This is Theme Park Brandon. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and of course, keep riding coasters.